Next up, we're going to bring Steve Uger to guide us through the steps for a healthier and more wildlife-friendly yard. Quick bio on Steve. As a Rutgers Cooperative Extension Agent, Associate Professor in Ocean and Atlantic, Steve conducts education programs and research projects to address the environmental needs of the clientele of Ocean and Atlantic counties. His focus is on coastal resource issues, especially water quality, protection, and management. Steve has collaborated with the Jersey Friendly Yards program to support sustainable management of our landscape, 1 yard at a time. He received his PhD in environmental science from Rutgers University in 2010. Thanks, Steve, for joining us, and you're up.
Okay, thank you so much, Valerie, and thank you everyone for having us tonight. Would it be possible for me to share my screen? I do have a few slides to go through. If not, it's going to be a very, very short presentation. But I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about the resources we have available through the Jersey Friendly Yards program. And okay, I can share. Awesome. It's always the technology and it's always the volume that we have to double check first. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see the slideshow. If I can get it started. Yay, the technology is working. Awesome. Thank you guys again. Tonight, I'm just going to give you guys a brief introduction to Jersey Friendly Yards. Jersey Friendly Yards is a partnership between the Barnegat Bay Partnership, which is the National Estuary Program for New Jersey, and the Ocean County Soil Conservation District, so continuing the theme of working with the soil conservation districts, and Rutgers Cooperative Extension in Ocean County. Even though that we are organizations that are working along the shoreline, primarily in the Barnegat Bay watershed, Ocean County area, this is Jersey Friendly Yards. So this is meant to be information and resources that are available throughout the state of New Jersey that can be used throughout the state. Basically, Jersey Friendly Yards, we like to call it your one-stop shopping for working with nature when you're making decisions to help landscape a residential yard. Obviously, the landscaping principles can be brought to community projects, municipal buildings, etc. But we're really looking to make a healthier environment, as we like to say, 1 yard at a time. The main resource that you guys can utilize is our website, which is jerseyyards.org. Remember the double Y when you type it in, it's Jersey Yards. There's 2 Ys right in a row. But we have lots of resources that are available. Lots of guidances that are there to help people design a sustainable, healthy landscape. We go through our 8 steps for a Jersey Friendly Yard. We have a searchable plant database. We have interactive mapping, information on where to buy native plants. So not just recommendations to get native plants, but where you can actually go and buy them. And that's broken down by county. So you can look up your county to see who's selling native plants and where you can get them from. The 8 steps that we utilize for Jersey Friendly Yards are outlined here. It's to plan before you plant. So obviously stop and think about the landscape and what the site is telling you and what's going to be the best plants to put in the ground. So we always say the right plant for the right place. So make sure you're doing that planning before you go ahead and start planting things in the ground. Secondly, we talk about starting with a healthy soil. Healthy soil is the foundation for a healthy yard. So you got to make sure you know what's in your soil and that it's healthy and that it will support the plants that you want to put in. Thirdly, is water wisely. We talk about water conservation and ways to actually be smart when you do watering outside. I don't know about you guys just yet, but we had some thunderstorms just roll through. I live in central New Jersey, so don't have to water too much tomorrow, but we desperately need the water because it hasn't rained for a while. So we talk to people about wise ways that they can water their landscapes and to actually help to conserve water. We talk about fertilizing less, so using less fertilizers, so there's less pollutants that can wash off into our local streams and cause problems. We talk about managing pests responsibly, so make sure that you're actually using integrated pest management, different strategies to help reduce pests, or to just be kind of tolerant to some pests that are going to chew on some of your plants and just let them kind of grow and thrive. We also talk about reducing lawn size, so if you have turf grass and you want to reduce that, you can go ahead and replace that with native plants. You can replace that with other landscaping, but really to reduce the amount of lawn size, because lawns are actually one of the thirstiest plants, vegetation types that are out there. They will utilize a lot of water, especially in the summertime. We have people promote and create healthy wildlife habitat. So putting in plants that will help pollinators, monarch butterflies tend to be the poster child for this, but other animals that will come to your yard to help pollinate plants and actually bring wildlife to your yard, you can do. And the 8th step that we talk about is reduce, reuse, and recycle in your yard. So are there parts of your yard that you can actually reutilize somewhere else, say like breaking up concrete paths and using them as stepping stones, that kind of thing. So there's all these different steps that you can take that can help move you towards a Jersey-friendly yard, but it all boils down to native plants. And I know you have someone from the Native Plant Society talking after me, so I'm not going to steal all their thunder, but it all comes down to utilizing native plants. They will thrive in local soils and they're used to local climates. Like I said before, we haven't had a lot of rain in a while, but native plants are adapted to those changing conditions and they're pretty hardy. So they can withstand an area, a time period where there's not that much rainfall, or they can survive in a time when there's excess rainfall. So they have that adaptability to local conditions. They also will conserve water. And also reduce your need for fertilizers and pesticides. They'll also reduce your need to provide maintenance. I always tell people that native plants are not no maintenance plants, but they're low maintenance plants. So you will actually, reduce the amount of time needed to spend, maintaining your landscape if you're using native plants. And they're also providing important habitat for local birds, local pollinators, other wildlife that come in the area. So obviously native animals are adapted to the native plants. So the more native plants that you put out in your yard, you can attract native animals, and mostly the good kinds of animals that you want to attract to your yard. Obviously a lot of birds, a lot of bees, a lot of pollinators, butterflies, etc. that are out there. So it all comes down to native plants. And one of the best resources that's available through the Jersey Friendly Yards website is the searchable plant database. For a long time, we've been making recommendations to people about what they should plant in their yard, but it really wasn't targeted for people's specific needs. This searchable plant database, which you can find at the jerseyyards.org website, allows you to put in all your site conditions, your soil moisture, the region you're in, the plant type you're looking for. Are you looking for a tree or a shrub or a fern or a flowering plant? If you have any specific colors that you're interested in planting, if you want to keep the aesthetics going as well, whether or not they're deer resistant, which always makes me laugh because if a deer is hungry enough, it will eat anything that's out there. So take that with a grain of salt. But also it talks about your soil conditions, like how acidic is your soil, how moist is your soil, how much well does it drain. So you can figure out what the best plants are to plant in your respective landscapes. And what you do is you check off on the left-hand side of this screen, you have all those different characteristics. You check it off. The more you check off, the plant list on the right will automatically adjust and search the database for you and come up with a plant list. One of the things you can do is you can register. If you see the blue bar with the wheelbarrow on it, if you click on register sign in, it's basically just your email address and a password. We don't sell that list to anybody. It stays within. But what you're able to do is on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see there's a grayed out wheelbarrow. You can click on those and tailor your own list of native plants to your yard and your site. So if you guys, I believe, are mostly with green teams, if you're doing a public project, you can kind of figure out what kind of plants you can put in the ground for, say, a pollinator garden or, a butterfly garden or a rain garden or et cetera. So all these resources are available on the website. But one of the things that you guys probably want to know about is how would this fit in with Sustainable Jersey, and what are some of the practices, what are some of the actions in Sustainable Jersey that you guys can kind of utilize these resources for. And I just went through the Sustainable Jersey website and just took a quick look at some of the resources, ways that the Jersey Friendly Yards can fit into those actions. So under waste reduction, one of the steps that we have is reduce, reuse, recycle. Composting is a huge part of that. So a backyard composting program, you could kind of tailor it to your local needs and use the resources at the Jersey Friendly Yards website to help you develop that program and get the points for that. Same thing with the grass cut it and leave it program. We're big proponents of grass cycling, which is basically just leaving your grass on your lawn after you cut it. It will add nutrients. It will actually help to act as a little bit as a mulch and reduce water loss. So you'll save some water that way. But if you incorporate some of the resources at the Jersey Friendly Yards website into these programs, then we've done most of the work for you guys already and kind of started that going. Up on the upper right, the water conservation education programs. This is the one that's near and dear to my heart because my background's all in water and water quality and water management. But a lot of the landscaping practices that we're talking about help to conserve water. So you can incorporate the materials from the website into some sort of education program for people to reduce the amount of watering that they're doing outside, how much water they can save on an annual basis. You can also talk about the use of rain gardens and rain barrels to help conserve water as well. On the bottom left, innovative projects. I like this for Sustainable Jersey because it's kind of a catch-all for all projects. So you can do rain gardens under this and you use the information from the Jersey Friendly Yards website. You can put in a pollinator garden and use the plant database to select your plants and to select your plants and find out where to find them, etc. Same thing for the bottom right, tree and woodland management. There's a tree planting program. The database does include native trees. So if you want to work with a local shade tree commission or other groups in your area, you can work through the website and find out what trees are native that you can kind of put in the ground and plant there. So these are just some ways that you can kind of connect the Jersey Friendly Yards website and the resources that are available to your needs. Also note that all the project partners, myself, Ocean County Soil Conservation District, Barnett Bay Partnership, we are very happy to talk to groups as well too. So even though we are located in the coastal areas, we may know people or we may come and talk to other parts of the state because like I said, this is Jersey Friendly Yards and not just Ocean County Friendly Yards. So if there's any topics that you guys would like to learn more about, we can come out and talk to your groups about it, even if it's just walking them through the database to see how they actually would do it. And now since we are so used to doing things online and doing webinars, we have a much larger reach in the state. And so we can basically virtually travel to other parts of the state to talk to you guys. I will put in a plug that we do have a webinar series that we've been doing through Jersey Friendly Yards. We are wrapping up the What's Bugging Your Jersey Friendly Yards, which was all about native insects and pollinators. And we'll be starting up the next series, I believe in July. Where we'll be talking about other topics. So if you go to that website, that jerseyyards.org, you can get more information on those workshops as well. And I think I talked really fast and got in under the 10 minutes, but just barely.
Steve, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I was taking notes. That's great. It's an awesome resource, and we'll definitely, we'll stay connected so we can always promote a lot of your programs, and I'm sure Green Team members